To give something back to the campus that I've been at twice now. I did an arts degree, communications degree in the arts faculty back in the early 90s. Then I left and joined the workforce, looking for a very creative role really, and kind of ended up in advertising as a result of that. And then went to work and went home, and went back to work and went home many times as an employee with a number of different multinational agencies. And then finally, about 2.5 years ago, I kind of bit the bullet and thought I would rather be working for myself than for a number of the other less pleasant bosses that I'd had over the last kind of 5 years. And so I kind of struck out on my own and have started an agency with an old colleague of mine from my Sergeant Sergeant days, and we're called Mammal in Balmain. So when you do start your entrepreneurial careers and you're looking for marketing and advertising advice, feel free to look up Mammal in Balmain as an agency to work with. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to talk about, or at least how I was going to start this, and then thankfully the Sydney Morning Herald ran a piece in the paper yesterday, or I say in the paper, I read it online of course, that 40% of degrees are going to be obsolete within the next 10 years, according to an Ernst & Young or EY study. To which I say, and excuse me because we do use fairly fruity language in the advertising industry, just this once, bullshit. I can't believe for a second that your degree is not going to be valuable in some way, shape or form in the next decade and more to come. It's not because of the training you get that it will be useful, but rather because of the skills you acquire in terms of being resourceful, in terms of being determined, in terms of being a self-starter. All of those things are crucial skills, whether you decide to join the workforce and be an employee schlep like I was for so long, or if you do in fact strike out and become an entrepreneur from day one. I think you will look back, if you're studying right, you'll look back on the skills that you've developed with your, whichever faculty you're in at the moment, and find that there is an awful lot to draw on, even if it's only tangentially. So that's my start. The fact that you're studying is already equipping you to be an entrepreneur, I believe. You've learned how to problem solve, and that's one of the big things that you'll need as an entrepreneur. No matter how well planned you are, you will get to your place of work, even if your place of work is just the bedroom in your house, and there will be an email, or there will be an issue, or there will be something, and you'll need to start problem solving straight away. If you're not up for that, then you're on the back foot straight up. But as I say, studying whether at UTS or anywhere else equips you with the skills to problem solve, and I think that's a crucial thing. The other thing is you're starting to get an understanding of what you love, and whilst money is crucial, if you begin a business of only making money, I think you're almost certain to fail. I think if you look at the most successful entrepreneurs, and I think of the really successful ones like the Zuckerbergs and the Elon Musks and the Bill Gateses, I don't think making money was their number one priority at all. They had much more interesting interests. They had passions, and that's what gets you up every day and gets you going into the office. I love solving communication and business problems for my clients. I love the fact that a problem can seem so kind of insurmountable, and then when you kind of tap away at it, metaphorically speaking, in a marketing sense, we can come up with really elegant and simple solutions, often really tangential ones that don't seem like the obvious solution straight up. I think it's crucial. So one piece of advice I would suggest is it's not about the dollars. Don't do it just because you want to be rich. There are probably easier ways to get rich. Work your way up the ladder of a multinational may well be an easier way to get rich. I think it's more important to be passionate. I don't know how many of you have read a book called Freakonomics, but there's a chapter in there that I think it's titled something like "Why Do So Many Drug Dealers Live With Their Parents?" And it's a really interesting question. Apparently something like 90% of drug dealers live with their parents, and the answer is not anything particularly weird or perverse, but rather they're just not really good at it. So they're not making a heck of a lot of money. And frankly, you know, in any field of endeavour, whether you're an actor, whether you're a rock star, whether you're a whatever, most people are not going to get to the absolute pinnacle. So don't expect to be, whilst I think you should aim to be, feel free to aim to be the next Elon Musk or the next Gina Reinhardt, unless she inherited most of her money. I think it's more important, again, as I say, to be passionate rather than to focus on the dollars. The other problem with focusing on the dollars is that it doesn't really breed a particularly good ethical approach to business. And I think, you know, a couple of really interesting examples have come forward just in the last week or so around ethics. The whole financial sector in Australia appears to be built on money rather than ethics, which is perhaps not a surprise, but the degree to which large institutions have been unethical because of their chase for the dollar has caused that industry to look really shaky. And just in the last couple of days, Cambridge Analytica has declared bankruptcy, having done some very unethical things, both with Facebook and the Trump campaign, but then more recently being exposed as having very little regard for people's data and privacy. For mine, if you want to live with yourself, if you want less stress because you're not constantly having to watch your back and lie, and if you want to be a better person to deal with, they're all reasons to be kind of ethical and authentic. And I think you'll find that you'll be happier and more successful if you use ethics as a guiding principle. It's also important because no matter what business you're in, no matter whether you're looking at coding for a living, or whether you're looking at doing something such as I do, such as marketing, or whether you're even running a cafe or whatever, business is ultimately about people and about relationships. If you're an ethical and authentic person and you present your true self when you're dealing with people respect that. People want to deal with people like that. The unethical, the glib, the fast car drivers that were perhaps admired in the 80s because they were making money hand over fist are no longer admired. The industry that I work in, advertising, had a fair few kind of slick back hair, ponytail style folk in the 80s and 90s who were allegedly doing lines of cocaine in the boardroom and whatever else. That may have been cool then, I doubt that it was, it certainly isn't now, and if I were a client walking into an office like that, I'd say, is this where my money's going? I prefer that it was going into my business. Look after your customers and be an authentic, real person is the key to success, particularly in the 21st century. In that sense of every business being a people business, it's not just about your customers, of course. Value the networks and the connections you make. They're really crucial. If you look around the room at the people you live with, they are the beginnings of your professional network, whether they're going to be in your business or not. They're people you know. Don't look at it in a kind of mercenary way, what can I get out of them? But if these are people that you like and that you like dealing with, what a great place to start in terms of building a network of suppliers and sounding boards and people who will give you an opinion. Absolutely crucial. I've got a friend from advertising about 20 years in who's now starting a completely new business around supporting people's mental health in the workplace. He's got a business idea and he's looking for people to sense check that for him, if you like, and he's drawing on a network that's wide and deep because he's got great connections, being a good people person over the last couple of decades. Treat your suppliers well. Don't just screw people down to the last dollar. It's not necessarily about that. Everybody's running a business. Be a good person to deal with, and you'll find that you'll get that back in spades. And even your competitors, who can often become your partners. We have a really good relationship with a couple of agencies in particular. One who's a very digitally focused advertising agency, one who's a brand design kind of agency, and we're somewhere in the middle as probably a more video-oriented video content and TVC advertising agency. So whilst we don't directly compete, we are still competing for our clients' dollars, but we work well together and everybody wins. If you're a business student, you've probably heard the term co-opetition. That's kind of what we're doing. We get on with one another and we share the pie. And as a result, we all get ahead, and we all keep our family fed, and we all enjoy our lives and our businesses. And on that, don't make promises you can't keep. You're better off not making a promise. Don't let anyone down. A bad reputation is a really hard thing to escape from. So, when you do make promises, make sure you can stick them. What else have I got to say in my short 2.5 years as an entrepreneur? Don't just plan. It is very easy to get caught up in round after round after round of planning and to never actually do anything. If you ask enough people, someone will tell you that it can't work. So at some point you've actually got to kind of put your own thought forward and go, well, damn it, I'm going to do it anyway. And it is really the only way that you're going to get things done. So don't just plan, make sure that you spend plenty of time doing. And as an entrepreneur, you're going to get your hands dirty, particularly if you're going to start small, as most of us do. You'll be answering the phone, you'll be answering your own emails, you'll be doing your own IT, you'll be making your own lunch, you'll be doing all of those things. And what a great way to start, I reckon. It's fantastic to be your own master, your own boss. It's very exciting. In some ways, I just wish I'd done it a little earlier. I'll get all theoretical on you just for a second. There are two kind of thoughts strategy-wise. There's a guy called Porter, Michael Porter. Do we have a lot of business students here who've looked at Porter and strategy? You don't have to be hands up. He kind of goes, it's all about planning. Plan everything, figure out how the field's set. It's a very military kind of approach where you kind of have to figure out exactly how everything fits together before you take one step forward. I'm simplifying. And then the other guy's a guy called Mintzberg who says strategy is emergent, and that strategy is about being agile and nimble enough to be able to kind of deal with what happens, and that you can almost look backwards and see how you got somewhere, but it's much more difficult to look forwards. I think, like everything in business, there's a balance between both of those point of views, but I'm a Mintzberg fan. I think you need to set the conditions in your business that you can handle whatever might happen, because although, for example, we've set Mammal up as a video content and TV production focused advertising agency, we get people coming us asking if we can do brand positionings, and we zig. And having the skills to do that, we do that for clients. It's important to be nimble enough to be able to satisfy what your market, what your customers want. So that's a long way of again saying don't just sit there planning Porter style, actually get out there and get your hands dirty and do things. I find that crucial. That said, do a little bit of planning. Don't just go out there and, without any idea whatsoever of what you're going to do, because you'll lose money and be unfocused. And I would stress that the most important thing there is to figure out what makes you distinctive. It's absolutely right that you don't need a unique idea. You don't even necessarily need a unique positioning in your market, but you do need to be memorable. You need your customers to know who you are and what you stand for. And if you think about the kind of famous startups, whether it's an Uber or a Tesla or any of those, they're very distinctive. They're easy to remember. Whether that's the force of the personality behind them, or the cleverness of the idea, or just a really clever logo or an end line in the case of somebody like, looking back, say Nike with Just Do It, you kind of immediately knew what they stood for. They were distinctive. Everyone sold shoes, but Nike sold something more. They sold a dream or a promise. So do spend a little bit of time planning to figure out how you're going to be distinctive and how you're going to stand out in your market. And then just another couple of tips very quickly. When you start a business, it's all about yourself. It's going to be about the relationships you make. It's going to be about being a good person to deal with. But having the back of your mind, figuring out how you're going to make it about something other than yourself. You want to be able to stand back and not be the person who has to answer all of the questions. You want to be the person who can scale your idea and have other people doing it as well. So figure out what it is that makes that business work once you've got it up and running, and figure out how you can show other people how to do that, how you can scale the business, how you can make your process repeatable so that it becomes something that you can manage rather than be absolutely in the trenches for day after day. For example, I figured out fairly early on that I was absolutely hopeless working from home. I didn't have enough personal contact, and I would very quickly find myself sitting down watching TV or doing the washing up or anything but actually focusing on what I should have been focused on. So although it was a big cost for me, having an office, having somewhere that I called work that was separate from home was a really crucial and important part of figuring out how I was going to make my business continue. Lastly, obviously you don't know everything, so surround yourself with people who complement you. I have a fantastic business partner who loves doing all of the things I hate doing, cold calling clients, looking through books, all of that kind of stuff, and it frees me up to be the kind of wacky sneaker-wearing guy who does the colouring in and writes the silly headlines and whatever. Find people who complement you. It's another crucial part of making a business work. But that said, although you don't know everything, you know enough. You know, you're part way through, or in some cases all the way through a degree that has prepared you to kind of jump out there and back yourself. And if anything I've said over the last, whatever it's been, 10 or 15 minutes has kind of helped with that, then good luck.